All right, here's a few news stories I thought were interesting. This seems very promising. They made an AI platform that will scan inside your eye and look at the blood flow and then try to deduce medical conditions like heart conditions from that, which makes complete sense. I know you can tell if someone is battling an infection from watching the white blood cells in the eye. You can tell if they're diabetic by watching poor blood flow in the eye. You can tell if they're high on pot from that. It just seems like a wonderful, easy, non-invasive way to detect problems. And with the help of AI, they could probably detect heart problems much earlier and treat them earlier and so on. So it sounds like a very promising medical plan. They got to go through a lot of approvals and stuff, but this sounds like a gadget that would really help people, sort of like that Theranos gadget that was supposed to greatly improve everybody's health by doing simple blood tests, but it turned out to be bogus. But this is not bogus. You really can see your blood flow and your blood right through your eye without invasion, and you could do spectroscopic analysis. You could do a lot of things. I think this is a great idea. And hello, I see Jordan's here and Plant Daddy. Good. Anyway, this is the shocking news that came through yesterday. OpenAI is the #1 AI company. They have by far the best products. They just met with the president. Sam Altman has been everywhere as like the world celebrity. And just a couple days ago, they had their developers conference where they announced that their products are greatly improved and they cut the price to 1/3. And it changed this course I'm teaching right now. I've been planning to have one where you make a large learning model, but the existing processes to do it go all the way back to GPT-2, are incredibly out of date. And something Scott Galloway said on his podcast, he said he put his team to work making a bot to imitate his voice, and they worked on it for months, and then in his demo they showed anybody can do it in 5 minutes now. But sign-ups are closed. You're waiting for some unknown reason, probably because they ran out of capacity. So as soon as I can get in to the Plus plan, I'll be able to make a bot with custom data just using a wizard in just a few minutes. At least that's what he announced. But when I tried to sign up, I got put on a waiting list, as a student noticed. So I'll have a project for you to do if I can. And all the old-fashioned ways of doing it just seem pointless, since the new way is so much better. But the company seems to be collapsing or going out crazy. With no warning at all, without even telling me he was in trouble, the board pushed out the CEO, who is this huge, famous figure. In fact, one thing Scott Galloway says about him, I think is also quite correct, is he's a positive role model for celebrity founders. He's not a complete jerk and racist like Elon Musk. But he is enormously wealthy, enormously powerful, founding companies, appearing everywhere, and so he's a much more positive model of like the American oligarch. Anyway, he says he'll be fine. Of course he'll be fine. He has a bunch of other companies. He can land on his feet, but he does appear to have been a coup, and it pushed out him and the founder. And one analysis I heard, I think from TechCrunch or TechDirt or something this morning, is they said that he was the founder of Y Combinator. And because of that, that's a prominent company to fund startups, he was able to get all the best people to join OpenAI. And when he leaves, those people will probably leave. And as you can see, the president also just quit in protest as soon as they fired him. A bunch of people are loyal to Sam Altman. I've seen this happen. This has happened at companies I worked on. When Sam Altman leaves, all the people that are loyal to him will probably leave and go with him to whatever his new thing is. I did that. My company had a second in command that was preferred much better than the real CEO, and when the company split, I just left and followed the second in command to a different company. And that's probably going to happen here. So just as OpenAI hits the big time, there seems to be a Game of Thrones kind of battle for who's going to control this pot of gold. Another story on polluting ChatGPT. Who has a guy said to his friend, hired around 100 employees to feed stories about and made it believe that people had many activities. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So they must have had a ChatGPT instance that learned from what people say to it, which I don't think they have to, and I'm surprised if very many of them did. That was Microsoft's mistake several years ago with Tay, was to make something that learns from user input. But anyway, so I'm sure much more is going to come out of this, but it just seems to me, offhand, like I'm kind of on Sam's side, because Sam didn't say a bad word about OpenAI, didn't say a bad word about the board of directors, just said, well, I guess that's it, I'll go on to the next thing. And he is having a polite, dignified exit. And the board is explaining nothing. And This is insane. If you are at a corporation and you have a problem with the president, you don't create a gigantic public scandal and a mess by doing it this way. You have a private meeting with him and say, look, things are not working out. We need to plan a transition. Like a good example, I think, is Meet the Press. Meet the Press had Chuck Todd. He was their leader. He was the face for like 10 years, and they decided to push him out over some sort of dirty dealings, but they did it quietly, nothing. And then he came out and had a public statement, gee, I'm glad to hand the torch to this Kristen Welker, and she'll do fine and everything. That's what you do. Even if everybody is angry and they all hate each other, you present a polite, dignified public face, because that's best for the company, best for the users, best for the owners and investors. This company is a weird mixture of nonprofit and profit, and does seem to have investors, although not exactly stock. This is creating a huge scandal like this that scares everybody. Microsoft stock fell by 1% or 2% overnight because they're a big investor in OpenAI, and this is just what you don't do when you're the leader of a big organization like a company or a country, is create a gigantic scandal by making crazy, abrupt moves that aren't well explained. Instead, you try to steer smoothly with slow motions so people can trust you and know that you're not crazy. So, I don't know, it's hard to imagine that he did anything so terrible as to justify all this. And all I'm hearing from rumors is really vague, garbagey stuff, like they wanted to go in a different direction. So, in America with no non-compete, he'll obviously just start another company making AI and wipe out the first one. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's all the time I want to spend on news.